Hey guys, you all have been asking me to review the Think Dirty app. Oh geez. Alright, what is the Think Dirty app? It is an app that claims to help consumers choose personal care products that will not be hazardous to their health. This is an app in which you can scan barcodes from anything that you might buy in the store and figure out if it's going to kill you or not, according to this app. It has this rating system in which products can be rated in the scale of 8 to 10, meaning those products have the potential for serious negative long-term health effects. A product that is rated anywhere between 4 and 7 has the potential for moderate negative long-term health effects, whereas a product that gets a 0 to 3 rating has nothing in it, according to Think Dirty, that has any potential for harm. Think Dirty states on their website that they have partnered and work alongside experts, scientists, health professionals, and they use credible resources to look at the literature to find out what ingredients might be harmful to you and to your health. They use PubMed, the National Library of Science, which is what I use when I talk about ingredients that I'm not familiar with. I do a literature search of PubMed to find the ingredient and whatever I can about that ingredient. So they claim to get their information from pretty credible sources, but the website and the app doesn't really disclose who the so-called experts are, and it's not entirely clear to me how they go about deciding which ingredients are hazardous to human health and how they substantiate those claims. You know, you can go on PubMed and look up different ingredients, and you can find a lot of studies on each ingredient that may be done in a laboratory setting that show an adverse outcome in a small animal model where they put a high concentration of a given ingredient either into the animal systemically or maybe on the surface of their skin. And, you know, that's compelling, it's interesting, but it doesn't really tell you that the ingredient is toxic to human health, or that it's toxic or dangerous to you at the concentrations it's found in personal care products. So they don't disclose how they go about this rating system. And the other thing that is bizarre to me is how they decide if something is, let's see, what do they call it? Potential for serious negative long-term health effects versus moderate negative long-term health effects. Like, okay, so this cream, if you put it on your face, you're gonna detonate, whereas if you put this cream on and maybe you sneeze, I mean, how are they distinguishing between these health effects? And why this kind of range of rating? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me that something would get an 8 and be deemed serious for your, have a serious consequence to your health. Same as a product that would have a 10. Like, what's the difference between 8, 9, and 10? That is not clear. The app does not take into account concentrations of ingredients. You know, anything can actually be harmful to your health given the dose. We have a saying in medicine, it's not the poison, it's the dose. Water, for example, can be very toxic to you if you consume too much of it. Or water, you can drown in water. You know, it can have some serious toxic effects on you depending on the dose that you expose yourself to and the route. If you inhale water, you're going to drown. If you drink a glass of water, it's not going to be harmful for you. If you drink gallons and gallons and gallons of water in one sitting, that can be harmful to you. The Think Dirty app doesn't take into account these different scenarios with these given ingredients that they've deemed toxic. They just kind of label them hazardous, as far as I can tell. So ingredients that stand out to me in this app that get demonized and flagged as serious offenders are things that the clean beauty movement likes to demonize. Preservatives, and namely parabens. This is based on small studies and a body of literature that suggests that certain preservatives in personal care products in the body might potentially disrupt hormonal signaling in our body. And that's compelling, it's interesting, but we don't know to what degree that really bears out as truth in the real world setting with personal care usage. But the clean beauty industry has decided that that is fact, and they want you to avoid preservatives. But here's the thing, preservatives that are present in our personal care products are present at a very low dose, and they're absorbed at a very low to minimal level in the body. And we have been using these preservatives for decades and decades with really no substantial body of evidence to show or demonstrate that they cause any untoward effects on human health. And importantly, the clean beauty industry, and this app is really just parroting the clean beauty industry marketing phraseologies. A major problem is that they fail to recognize the merits of preservatives. Personal care products that have water in them really need preservatives to prevent bacterial contamination. Without preservatives, you run the risk of Pseudomonas bacteria growing in the product, and Pseudomonas in your skincare products can definitely cause adverse effects to your health. For example, there was a case of an individual who got a really bad pseudomonal eye infection from using a contaminated mascara. So preservatives are really important to keep the product safe. And the amount of preservatives in personal care products is very unlikely to be dangerous to you or toxic to you. Another thing that gets flagged a lot within this app are things that, if you go on PubMed or from clinical experience, we know are allergens. Things like fragrance, different preservatives, allergens, meaning in some people, when they use these products, they can develop an allergy to them. And after they develop an allergy to them, they have to avoid those particular ingredients. But that doesn't mean that the allergen is deadly to people's health overall, to everyone's health out there. People who are allergic to tree nuts, that doesn't mean I can't eat tree nuts. That doesn't mean tree nuts are going to kill me. It just means that they're dangerous to that person whose immune system has decided that tree nuts are a no-go. And so to just want to eliminate certain things because they are allergens doesn't make a lot of sense. Now you might be saying, well, why do you always advocate for avoiding fragrance in personal care products? The reason I advocate avoiding fragrance is more so because fragrance doesn't really serve any purpose in personal care products other than to create this luxury appeal and drive up the price point of products. And fragrance can make it more likely that you will develop an allergy to things in products. But it doesn't make the product itself like acutely life-threatening or a hazard to your health. As a matter of fact, many people use fragrance-containing products regularly and never develop an issue to them. I encourage you to avoid them because I see it as a frequent cause of allergic contact dermatitis, meaning people tend to develop an allergy to fragrance. So I always promote that you guys do your best to avoid fragrance in personal care products because it is a frequent allergen, but it's not poison. And so, my encouraging you to avoid fragrance is not to say that fragrance per se is dangerous. It's just a frequent offender in personal care products for causing contact dermatitis. But this app finds common allergens and assigns them these labels that they're bad. In the consumer's mind, it becomes this issue of good versus bad, and they don't realize that things exist on a continuum. And so in the case of a lot of preservatives, not everyone develops an allergy to these things. And so just blanketly saying that they're toxic, I think is really misleading to people. And, so I have an issue with that. It sends a confusing message to the consumer that allergens, and even common allergens, are somehow toxic or bad or acutely life-threatening, especially when they receive this esoteric rating of 8 to 10, potential for serious negative long-term health effects. Allergic contact dermatitis is a problem. It can, get in the way of your day-to-day life, but it's treatable and it's not life-threatening. So, I think that is a bit of an overstatement to call it potential for serious negative long-term health effects, which really just puts the whole app in perspective as to how do they call out certain ingredients. The other thing that the app fails to account for is that manufacturers of cosmetics are not required to disclose every single ingredient, and many don't. And therefore, what this app ends up favoring are brands and products that don't disclose all of their ingredients over those that do. And this sends a message that it's better for marketing purposes for brands to not be 100% transparent because consumers go after those products. So I think that that is not the right kind of messaging. And the information seems to be inaccurate. You know, yes, you can go onto PubMed and look up studies on things, but you have to put these different ingredients within the overall context of things. I don't know if there is a physician presence on their quote-unquote board. I doubt there is, but I could be wrong. That is another issue that I have with this app. There's no transparency as to who is interpreting these studies and what their background is. Just because someone calls themselves a health expert or an expert, what exactly are their credentials? I consider myself an expert in dermatology because I'm a board certified dermatologist. I completed a residency and passed my certifying exam, and I'm a practicing licensed dermatologist. So it's not clear to me, in other words, what the credentials of people on this board are, and is it largely just representing different marketing departments and branding. So I have a lot of issues with this app, and I do not think it is a useful or practical tool for people to be using. I think it misleads consumers into believing that certain products are dangerous for their health in favor of others, and I suspect that there is a financial gain in that. I think that it sends the wrong message to marketing departments and branding that if we don't disclose all of our ingredients, we're more likely to get a golden seal of approval, and consumers will then feel safer about our products. When in fact, our products are not necessarily any different from others that are getting bad ratings, which are likewise probably just as safe, if not safer, because they have preservatives in them, as an example. I believe that this app leverages a consumer demand for natural, quote, safe products and takes advantage of the fact that the majority of consumers don't know how to interpret the medical literature and the scientific literature to vet this rating system. And so they accept it with good faith that they're making a safer decision for their family. And I think what ends up happening is really what this is a tool to create more competition within the personal care industry to fuel the marketing and create competition amongst brands. I understand though, as consumers, you want to avoid unnecessary risk. You want to make smart choices. I can tell you, as a dermatologist, probably one of the best choices that you can make is to minimize the number of products that you buy. This app is not going to help you do that. This app is going to tell you what you should buy and what you shouldn't buy, but it's not going to tell you to not buy stuff. Not buying stuff and putting less things on your skin, putting less things into the environment overall is probably one of the best choices that you can make. But that doesn't help the bottom line of all of these different brands that get the Think Dirty seal of approval. But that really is the best thing that you could do. The more things that you use, the more things that you put on your skin and expose yourself to, the more likely your immune system is to be like, what the heck is going on? Decades ago, we maybe had one cream that people used on their face, one type of hand soap. People weren't putting all of these different products on their skin. They weren't using all of these different treatments in their hair, styling products, etc. There weren't 50 bazillion different types of countertop sprays, etc. We just have so many things that we are told we should have and buy and use. A lot of them are not necessary. The more things that you use, the more likely your immune system is to go, hey, let's do some damage control here and mount a response to one of these things. Common things that happens to are methyl isothiazolinone, which you can find in household cleaning products, shampoos, conditioners, hair care products, water-based things, fragrance, etc. But the best way to avoid developing an allergy to an ingredient is to just minimize the number of things that you use. both on your skin as well as your hair. Think about, do I really need all of these serums? This app is going to tell you which serums you can buy that are quote safe, but really the safest thing is to not be using all of this crap. And to just use, you know, the bare minimum of what you need. Interestingly enough, 20 years ago, allergic contact dermatitis was most common in women because women used the most personal care products. But the beauty and skincare industry has expanded into men. I mean, you go into Target and there's a massive aisle aimed at men and men's skincare with male-specific branding. And so, as a result of that, we are now seeing an increased incidence of allergic contact dermatitis in men. They're catching up with women because now they're using all of this crap. Beard oils, foams, lathers, you know, all this stuff. And really, the best thing that you can do, whether you're a man or a woman, is to minimize the number of products that you use. I mean, stick to a sunscreen and a cleanser, and you'll find that your skin is overall much better the less stuff you use. I mean, the more things you put on your skin, ingredients, they cause irritation, they lead to more water loss out of the skin, more dryness, more irritation, causes you to buy more stuff to combat that. Same thing with the hair. The more stuff you use dries out your hair shafts. You buy more stuff to put on that weighs down your hair shaft, leads to breakage and dry hair, and then you buy more stuff to moisturize the hair. Yeah, I mean, if you minimize the number of products you use, your health of your hair and skin is better. And also you're putting less garbage out into the environment. But there's not going to be an app that's going to tell you to buy less stuff. So yeah, these apps are not useful. They're shopping tools, but they're not useful truly for minimizing risk. The greatest risk with using personal care products is allergic contact dermatitis. And the best way to minimize that risk is to use fewer things. So I hope this answered your questions about the Think Dirty app. I don't recommend it. I don't think it's useful, and I think it's incredibly misleading. Comment below on what your thoughts are. I'd love to know. But if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.